G'day everyone, it's Coach Michelle J. Raymond, your trusted guide for building your brand and your business on LinkedIn. And listeners, we've been doing a series of having my guests who are experts who also happen to be my friends. And I am so lucky to have this person coming on the show for the second time. Nancy Harhut, welcome back to the show.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here, Michelle. Thank you so much for calling me a friend and for having me on the show again. Really appreciate it.
Look, I am so glad that we got to actually cross paths at Social Media Marketing World earlier this year. And unfortunately, we won't get to do it next year. But it was one of those sessions that when I was sitting in the room, I just watched people around me as you were speaking, scribbling so many notes. Like they were going mad. Like, don't forget this tip that Nancy's giving them. And for people that weren't in the room, you should go and buy Nancy's book, which is called Using Behavioral Science in Marketing. And I will put all those details in the show notes so that people can go and check it out. But it is just jam-packed full of so much goodness. And you said you're going to share a little bit about that today and how brain science can teach us about LinkedIn marketing. Are you ready, Nancy? Are you ready?
I am ready. Yes, let's do it.
Okay, Nancy, we are back and we are going to get into this one. And unlike Jay Schwedelson, there are no weird things that you need to eat or hot wings challenges coming. This is straight into it, your best tips. And I want to ask the first question because my audience are B2B marketers and they're often responsible for all kinds of things. But one of the problems that I see keep popping up that I learned from you is that I think most B2B marketers out there still think that B2B buyers just make rational decisions. I'd like to know from a brain science point of view, why is that such a dangerous marketing assumption, especially when it comes to their LinkedIn marketing?
Sure. I mean, it is absolutely a very common misconception, no question about it. And there is an element of truth to it. Certainly, B2B buyers make decisions for the good of the company. So they're thinking about things that, in rational terms. Absolutely. But it doesn't stop there, right? At the end of the day, people are people, whether they're at home, whether they're at work, people are people. And behavioral scientists have found that we all need to access the emotional parts of our brain in order to make decisions. Right? There's a researcher named Antonio Damasio, and he conducted research among people whose brains had been damaged, and it was the part of the brain that was damaged that controls emotion. And what he found was they were virtually incapable of making a decision. Even a very simple decision like, what would you like for lunch today? They couldn't decide. They go back and forth and back and forth. They couldn't land. And he found that we, people, humans, need to access the emotional parts of our brain in order to make decisions. So if you're a B2B marketer and you're thinking, oh, it's all about facts and figures and speeds and feeds, and let's just keep this very rational, you are going to leave money on the table. Some of your messages will connect. Sometimes they'll just happen to land right in front of someone who's really interested in that topic or ready to buy, but you're not going to reach as many people. You're not going to build the connection with as many people, and you're not going to convert as many people. Even the B2B Institute has found that emotion in B2B messages drives 7 times the sales, the revenue, and the profitability of the marketing messages. So, it's proven in market, it's proven by behavioral science. We really want to have some of that emotion. We don't want to walk away from the rational sales points, but we want both. We know that people make decisions for emotional reasons and then quickly justify those decisions to themselves and to other people with the rational reasons. So what we want is that nice balance of both of them.
Are we better off speaking to the fear side of those emotions or the positive side? Like, are people looking for confidence boosters or, don't let me make that bad decision so I look like I've made the wrong one to my peers?
It depends. People are looking for a little of both. Very often we want to be reassured. We don't want to look bad to the boss. We don't want to look bad to our peers. We don't want to look bad to the board. We don't want to make a decision and then find, oh my gosh, getting this up the food chain is just an enormous amount of work, or onboarding people is keeping me here nights and weekends. We're looking for reassurance, but we also don't want to miss out on things. And behavioral science has shown us that people are actually twice as motivated to avoid the pain of loss as they are to achieve the pleasure of gain. And in marketing, we usually focus on the gains, the advantages, the benefits, all the wonderful things that will happen if you just choose me, become my company, my customer, sign up for my service, right? And I don't think we need to walk away from that. In fact, I know we don't need to walk away from benefits, but there are times when a little well-placed loss aversion can go a long way. And so maybe what you want to do is you want to point out the pain someone will be in if they don't do what you're asking them to, or point out the pain they can avoid if they, in fact, do what you're asking them to do. So sometimes people need that reassurance. They want to feel like, okay, I'm making a good decision and there's not going to be a problem. Other times they need that little extra nudge of, being faced with the pain of loss that they're likely going to encounter if they don't make the move, if they don't click the button, if they don't become a customer. You want to judge the context and the market and have a little bit of both.
The FOMO is real. You guys have had Thanksgiving offers. We've had Black Friday offers. We've got the Christmas offers. Soon we'll have the New Year offers. Like, there are offers coming like left, right, and center every which way. And I'm a sucker for when it is, we're down to the last few are available. The time's running out. These kinds of things. That's when I'm going, uh-oh, if I don't do this, I'm going to miss out on this deal and it may not come around. Knowing full well that the game is, it's going to come around in about another 5 minutes if I just wait. But patience isn't my virtue, my friend. Shout out to all the marketers who prey on people like me, poor innocent people like me who can't wait.
But you know what, Michelle, it's not your fault, because human beings are actually hardwired to want that instant gratification. Behavioral scientists talk about something called present focus bias. And we want what we want and we want it now. And we don't like to wait, and we will discount later rewards. So we'll take a smaller but sooner reward over a larger but later one. Experiment after experiment after experiment has proven that. So you're not alone. We want what we want it now. And if we think that we're about to lose it, that's when we're going to grab it. Absolutely.
Oh my God, I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to play it for Lil every time I'm doing my online shopping. So thank you for this clip, if nothing else. The other thing that I think comes up, Nancy, in a lot of conversations. So I'm helping people, say, with their LinkedIn company pages, we're writing content, putting it out there. And obviously that frequency piece comes up. What happens is we come back to the conversation around, we've already said that, we've said it before. Oh, do we have to, show up that often? Why does repeated exposure matter so much in B2B? And how should marketers think about that when we're using LinkedIn? Because this is another clip that I'm going to want to use with my clients and say, we can't just post once and then expect that message to get across. But I know you, and you always come and bring the receipts of why this is going to be worth it for people.
One of the reasons is the effect that repetition has on the human brain. So when we hear something often, it becomes familiar. And when something becomes familiar, it feels more truthful, it feels more real, it feels more trusted. And as a result, we're much more likely to accept it. We're going to remember that name. We're going to remember that company. We're going to remember that product or that service. It's going to feel familiar and it's going to feel right? It's easy for us to recall something. And when it's easy for the brain to recall something, easy for the brain to process something, it feels right. And it's not a big leap to assume that it is right. So suddenly this is the right choice. And then I think the other reason simply is people are scattered. Their attention is, divided across so many different things. You post something once, if it doesn't happen to pop up when somebody is scrolling at that particular moment, they're just not going to see it. And you're like, well, I put it out there. It's like, well, good for you. Repeating our message, it reinforces it for those who have seen it. And we know that that's good. And it also widens the chance that we're going to reach our market and we're going to at least get some of our messages in front of them. It might feel like a little bit more work on our part, but we absolutely need to do it. The wonderful brain science benefit is the more someone hears our name, our product, our benefit, our value proposition, the more real it becomes, the more likely they are to believe it. And that's a good thing.
I have a question for you, because there's some stats that get thrown around from time to time on LinkedIn, and I don't even know where they started. So I'm just putting it out there. I can't quote it, but once upon a time, it used to be, people need to hear something 7 times before they remember it. And then someone would say a year later, it's 14 times. And then it was like 32 times. Like, have we gotten worse at being able to remember and recall stuff as a human race? Or is there something that we can do that's like, no, this is the number or frequency? What are your brain science things tell us about this?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I have seen those varying stats, whether it's 7 or 14 or 21 or 30. There's definitely some truth to them because we're not completely focused. We're cruising along on autopilot and we may or may not engage. There is some research that shows that even if you remember something, if it's not relevant to you, it kind of doesn't make a difference. If I can recall the message in the brand, but that brand didn't make an emotional connection with me, it's not really going to be helpful to me and as a result to the brand. And there's some research that also shows that even if you can't immediately recall something, but it's more something that you notice subconsciously, it still can impact your behavior. Again, going back to repetition, this is a very good thing, right? So it's hard to say, what that magic number is, but what we do know is we want to be out there with our message. We want to be out there with our message, but it's got to be the right message. It's got to be a message that connects with people, that has some emotion, that maybe has a good story, so that people feel that the relevance is there. And if the relevance is there, our brain encodes that message because we know we're going to need it for the future. It's like, oh, this is going to be important to me. This is something I'm interested in. This is something that can help me either achieve something or avoid something painful, but it's relevant to me. And so it gets kind of tucked away in our brains and it's there for us when we need it.
Relevance is something, Nancy, that is definitely, I'm going to say, the topic du jour on LinkedIn right now. So if we rewind the clock a little bit back to June, the world changed on LinkedIn. So once upon a time, we could rely on certain reach, i.e., our content being shown to as many people as possible that LinkedIn determined. And then they shifted everything and they were moving it towards relevance. So not as many people, but hopefully the right people. And it's been an interesting year. I'm going to put it out there that I've really struggled with this change because I was addicted to the impressions just like everybody else. But tell me, from a behavioral science point of view, why might niche and specific messages outperform kind of more broad thought leadership that used to, hit a wider audience? Will I be seeing results from this relevance play that LinkedIn tells me I will?
One can never say for sure if what LinkedIn says is actually going to, perhaps, let's hope. But what I can say is that brain scientists talk about something called self-concept. And that is this idea that people will seek out products and brands that reflect well on them, that either reflect how they see themselves or how they would like the world to see them. And so when we stop casting that really wide net and we get a little bit more niche and a little bit more specific, it gives us the opportunity to build that community, to have people say, yes, that's the company for me. That's the brand for me. That's the one that I want to be associated with. That's the community that I want to be part of. And that can be a very good thing because once you can make that connection with a customer or a prospective customer, it becomes really sticky, right? You get that emotional bond and people are kind of wed to you. If you can get that customer, you're going to keep that customer. So having that more specific, more niche content helps build those smaller communities where people are attracted by, this is the brand that reflects who I am, or this is the brand that reflects the way I'd like to be seen. So it builds that exclusivity, which is another thing that behavioral scientists talk about. If everybody can have something, well, we may or may not be interested, but if it's only for certain people and we want to be part of that exclusive group, that can be very, very, very motivating. So when you start to craft your content, set up those guardrails that you're not trying to be everything to everyone, but you're for a very specific kind of person or group of people, that kind of adds to that exclusivity and that makes people feel good.
It's one of those things that I would have to say over the last few months for myself and my own business right now that I've been reflecting on, because I think it's easy when we're creating content and often on the fly. We start off with great strategies and then life happens and then we move into just get the post done or something grabs our attention. And then all of a sudden you drift off course. That tightness in your message of who you're speaking to all of a sudden dissipates over time. And I think that's what I've noticed with my own content is that it starts off small and it's just one post here and then it's one post there. And then all of a sudden those posts get a little bit closer together and we're at the end of the year and I'm thinking, I love my audience of B2B marketers. Like they are my target. And if I go back and specifically look at some of the content that I've been putting out and whether that's the podcast, whether it's videos, whether it's LinkedIn posts, I realize that I've probably become a little more everything to everyone, as you said. That is where the power is lost. When I was the company page queen and that's all people knew me for, like the opportunities come flooding in, whether it's speaking, whether it's clients, it was really clear. And that clarity, I think, is just what sells. And you know me, I'm here for how can marketing help me sell more? Make no apologies for that. But I think I've just noticed it for myself. Do you do check-ins with your clients? Like, how do we get people back on track?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've had this conversation with a couple of clients actually, where I used to use the phrase like, you want that steady drumbeat, right? You've decided what it is you want to be known for, what your message is, your value proposition, your promise, call it what you will, but you know what you want to be known for, and you just need to stick to it. And it's tempting to say, but I can do other things, or I have a perspective on other issues, and why not expand? But the problem is you start to dilute the message, and that's not going to serve you well in the long run. You might pick up another person here or another person there, but it really does start to dilute things. And if you have that focus, that steady drumbeat where this is who I am and this is what I stand for, and every piece of content that you put out there, every post that you comment on comes through that lens with that perspective, that just keeps reinforcing who you are. That adds to how you're going to be thought of, how you're going to be remembered, and it actually makes you more likely to be remembered. As tempting as it can be to broaden that tight focus, that steady drumbeat is what's going to pay off, because again, we were talking about this earlier, but people have a lot on their minds. There's a lot trying to compete for their attention, and they're not spending nearly as much time consuming our content as we are creating it. They don't spend as much time thinking about it as we spend thinking about it. And so by coming back to the same essential message, just over and over and over again, that's what serves us well.
I found with a few clients recently, and these are multinational global brands. And when I say to them, okay, tell me about this particular product that they're offering and where is it most likely to be sold into? And it is always everyone, everywhere, we can sell this thing. And asking them to narrow things down would mean saying to somebody else in a different department, actually, we're focusing on this, not that, because we know it will work. And trying to get people to understand that this will help them sell more, not less, is a really tricky concept to get across the line, because they're like, no, Michelle, we can sell it to this industry, this country, that country, everyone, senior people, junior people, like there's everyone involved. It's when I start rocking in the corner because I intuitively know that that's not the case. And I'm really thankful for one of my clients because they're entering into a new industry where there's two key players already established, been in the market 25 years. They're the new kid on the block, have an amazing product. I'm like, if you try and compete with them on same, I know that you're going to do it because your content's going to look the same. You're going to sound the same. You're going to talk about exactly the same stuff. And why would I choose the new person over the two existing players in the business that have those long-term relationships and have built a brand in that industry? And thankfully, we found a little niche that we're going to carve out. They trusted me on that. And very quickly, where they haven't been able to get traction over a year or so, now they're starting to see it. Their sales team are now connected to this is the campaign that we're doing, because before they were like, it's all a bit bleh, like it was their kind of words. We don't want to share it with our audience. They were reluctant to sell the story. They didn't want to put the content out on their company page or their personal profiles. And so it was just this whole stagnant. They got stuck. And so I think there really is so much power in what you've just shared here, that I want people to know that I know intuitively that your gut is going to tell you, but I can sell anything to everyone. And especially at a time where it's probably tough for a lot of people out there, and it makes your brain say the bigger the pond, the more chance of catching the fish. Actually, no, let's go fishing in a really small pond, because you've just got such a bigger chance of actually winning. So thank you for my personal reminder. Again, this is a clip I'll play to myself, just so you know, listeners. Thanks, Nancy, as always.
As you're saying that, I was thinking of this one client I had where we literally went to them with data saying, this is who's buying and this is who's not. So let's save money by only focusing on these people. And Yep. They're nodding through the whole presentation. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then at the end, they said, but you know what? Just in case someone over there decides to buy, we should just keep doing it the way we've been doing it. And it was, it's like, oh my gosh, we just spent an hour with all of the data. But what you're saying, good for you for convincing your client to do what's right. But people get nervous. They either are overconfident and think, yes, I can do it, or they're afraid that they might lose that one person, that one company, that one sale. And it's like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a much more efficient, much more effective sell to narrow things down. But it's hard. We're human, and we're either, like I said, either overconfident or fearful we're going to lose someone. So good for you for getting your client on the right track. I did not succeed with that particular one for me, but hey.
Yeah, because we're humans. And I have so much empathy for people out there, because this is something that, like I said, goes on in my own business. My head knows what I should be doing in this circumstance. So if anyone out there is listening to this and you're struggling having that conversation with your managers or your team about going narrow, I feel for you, because this really is something that is so powerful if you can nail it, but at the same time, getting everyone in line to think that going narrow is going to give you a higher chance of increasing sales. That's a tough call. So hopefully what Nancy shared today is going to help people out there. But Nancy, I want to move on to something else that you talk about, which is mental friction. And you talk about trying to reduce that rather than persuade people. What is that exactly? And what might that look like on LinkedIn for a post or a campaign?
So when you think about it, I want to persuade people. What does that mean? That means I'm going to try to sell someone. And no one really wants to be sold, right? When we push too hard, what happens is something called psychological reactance, right? We're pushing someone so hard that they turn on and they push back. And if I really am trying to sell you this, they're really not going to buy it. So we're much better off taking the approach where we allow people to come to their own conclusion. And what's wonderful about that is, people may argue with what you or I tell them to do, but they rarely argue with their own conclusions. So if we can create our posts, set up our content so that people start to go through it and they're nodding and they're coming to their own, oh, this would be good for me. This is what I should do. We're not telling them to do it. They're thinking it on their own. And that's what is so valuable. So instead of coming on strong, and I get it, we all want to sell. I mean, that's how we stay in business. We all want to. But instead of coming on with this idea of I need to persuade you, what we want to do is we want to just present the information in an interesting, informative, educational, entertaining way. We want to have a lead that pulls people right in. Maybe we want to tell a story, because stories allow the reader, the listener, to put themselves in the shoes of the main character, which of course means that the main character should not be the company or the product, but it should be the customer. The customer succeeds because of the product, but the product itself isn't the hero. We want to create content like that where people can place themselves in the shoes of the customer and come to the conclusion on their own that, yeah, this is something that I should do. And it's not easy, because the temptation, of course, is I want to sell. I have numbers I need to hit. I've got all this great stuff I want to say. So we're very tempted to just lead with that, shove it out there. But it really doesn't work, because nobody wants to be sold to. And if we push too hard, they're going to push right back. I just read an article this morning, actually. It was published on the New Neuromarketing blog, which comes out of the Netherlands. And they were citing some 2025 research, this year's research, that said that if your social platform gets too salesy, what happens is, ironically, you make fewer sales, right? People go on and they want, information, and they want the community. And if the balance starts to tip over towards too salesy, what happens is they pull back. And they'll comment here and there, but the engagement isn't as strong and the sales drop off. That's another reason why, not only do we have to be careful about which particular platform we choose and what's going on and keep our eye on that, because context is important, but it's another reason why we don't want to get too salesy, because that's just going to not only ruin it for us, but for everyone else on the platform, right? If everyone on LinkedIn is sell, based on this research, people are going to be pulling back saying, I don't have that same feeling. I don't have that same trust that I used to have when I would go here. I don't feel like I'm exchanging information with my peers or with the people that I respect and follow. I feel like somebody's trying to sell me. Someone's trying to persuade me. And I don't like that. It's a very natural human feeling. And so we have to be careful about that.
There was something that you slipped in there that I wanted to go, yes, yes, Nancy, that is it. You made a comment, and I won't quote you, but it was like literally, if your product or service is the hero of your post, I think you've missed the point. And I would agree with that. I think that's why LinkedIn company pages get such a bad rep and the content doesn't really travel as far because too often the company or the product or the service are the hero of the post and everybody else is like, yeah, who cares? That's got nothing to do with me. That's not helping me get closer to my goals. And I think when you have the ability to take that out and make your customer or your customers all of a sudden be the focus on how they got there so that they're the hero, you're right. That is so much more relatable and the kind of content that resonates. And that is when brands get trusted. And that's when brands can create community. And it doesn't have to be all on the personal pages like people would have you believe. But if you just talk about yourself, yeah, it's like when you're at a party and someone just does that. And what do? Excuse me, I got to go grab a drink. You don't want to be that person when it comes to your LinkedIn content. I like to give people actionable tips. You know me, Nancy, that's how I roll. And if you had the opportunity to speak directly to B2B marketers, which we do on this podcast, and you could change just one thing that about how they either write their content or structure their LinkedIn content to work the brain instead of against it, what would you recommend?
Well, I mean, this is a perfect segue, actually, because what I would say is, as you're developing your content, the one thing you need to do is you need to be more customer focused and less company focused. All right, there's plenty of things that you want to say, wonderful things about your company and your product, and you're excited about it, and you want to share all that. But we need to think about not what we want to say, but what our customers and prospects want to hear. And if we start to filter things through that lens, we get a very different kind of content. We'll find ourselves using the words I, we, insert company name, right? Far less. We'll find ourselves using the word you far more often. We just need to start to see things through our customers' eyes. And even though there are 20 million things we want to say about our product because it's so wonderful, we need to restrain ourselves and zero in on the 2 or 3 things that are really going to resonate with our customers and prospects, that are really going to make a difference for them, that are going to be the information that they're looking for, because that's when they're going to engage. And so again, less company focused, way more customer focused.
You are not going to get anything but a huge ditto from me on this one as well. No surprises there. You're the expert in this space, but I just see it happen all too often where it is just all about company, company, company. You can still talk about the same topics, but you can flip that angle and really get into the shoes of the person on the other side. And that's what I'm trying to teach my clients when I'm working with them, especially for company pages, is why does the person on the other side care? How are you helping them make more confident buying decisions or get them closer to their goals? What are you doing that's helping them rather than just talk about yourself? And it can be talking about exactly the same topic, but flipping the scripts and everybody wins. And you know what? I'm a fan where everybody wins.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be, this is a bad example, but it could be as simple as, instead of saying, we're so excited to tell you about our whatever, it's like, you'll be really interested to know that our whatever can help you in this way. Again, bad example, but it does represent the 2 different ways to get into something. And our temptation is, because we're so excited, I want to tell you about this, and it's like, no, you might be interested in this. It's like, oh, why? Let me find out more. Why might I be interested, right? It's all about the customer. In fact, we can even list a couple of bullets about why our particular product or service is so good, but there's been scientific research that shows 3 is the optimum number. Not 4, not 5, not 6, not the 10 or 20 that you have on your sales sheet. Zero in on the 3. 3 has critical mass. 1, 2, it's a little watery. Would, like, I don't know, maybe not, hasn't really gelled. 3 is where you want to be. 4, 5, 6, it starts to just be too much. And the scientific research shows that, people start to just tune out. But so you can talk about your product and service. You can have those 3 key points, and they can be different from one segment to another, from one product to another. Zero in on what is going to be most relevant to your target. But again, always through the target's eyes. It's not about what you want to say. It's about what they want to hear.
I think we should just leave that there, because I know you said it's not a great example, but if we could just get our listeners of this podcast to make that change and shift that language, one, it doesn't cost anyone anything. So there's no reason we can't do it. It is such a simple and effective change that you could implement that I absolutely concur with everything Nancy's saying, that it would make such a big difference. And I spent 20 years in sales. I love selling, but we don't need to always punch people in the face with everything that's so amazing about our products and services. And if three's the magic number, I'm on board with that one. But Nancy, I just want to sit here and nerd out on all of this behavioral science stuff with you. I can't do that because I have to wrap the podcast up. But I am going to encourage everybody to go across to your profile, connect with you on LinkedIn, and definitely grab a copy of your book. So many simple, small changes that would be so effective to really help people get better results from their marketing efforts in 2026 and beyond. And I think I am calling 2026 the year that we need to get back to foundations of marketing, the year that we have to stop being distracted by all the shiny toys that are out there and build that solid foundation. So Nancy, you've helped us a lot here. I wish you every success in 2026, and thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's always a joy to speak with you and by extension to your listeners. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I wish everybody wonderful success in 2026.
Amazing. So until next week, cheers.
Dun,